In Rwanda, Sylivanus Karamera. Sylivanus, good afternoon and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Thank you, Lulu. Good afternoon to you too.
Now, Sylivanus, there are several cooperation frameworks in place already. Tell us more about these and, what else has been added to these agreements?
Thank you, Lulu. There have been several agreements, just like you said, between the two countries, including the business and tourism and others. And of recent, we've seen reciprocal visits by the business delegations from both countries, Rwanda and Mozambique, and we have had some agreements signed in previous years. But this particular one were just the two agreements, which were to some point renewal of what has always been existing. In this case, just like you have just read, cooperation, security, and safety between the two countries, especially in regards to what is happening in Cabo Delgado and the presence of Rwandan soldiers in the northern part of Mozambique, as well as a business between the two countries, because the signing was, especially with the business, was between Rwandan Development Board and the Mozambican Investment Export Agency, which were all aimed at enhancing the business cooperation between the two countries. So I would say that all of this is built on existing cooperation and security framework, which at some point Rwanda has been, taking place in restoring peace in Cabo Delgado since 2022, where Rwanda sent soldiers to subdue the attacks which has been, ravaging the area by the jihadists, the jihadists in that area. So I would say that the visit by the first state visit by the fifth president of Mozambique, Daniel Chapo, was to some point to enhance this cooperation, because today he's been visiting different areas, including the areas of investment in Rwanda, to see opportunities that exist between the two countries.
Now, Sylivanus, in terms of this, another topic is the good progress that is being made when Rwanda's President Paul Kagame cited the renewal of not only the cooperation in peace and security that you've touched on, but has there really been peace in that region? And is that region now, that area of Cabo Delgado, secure, especially for the people from that area who are still struggling because of the insecurity and instability there?
Well, I think that's very tricky. That's a very tricky and very difficult question. But we can go by history of the recent history since 2017, when the Mozambique and northern part of it was engulfed by attacks by jihadists. This region has always been ravaged by different attacks. But from when Rwanda deployed in that area in 2022, reports and some of the witnesses from the ground, you cannot say that the peace has been restored 100%, but at least the resumption of the investment. In this case, we see a $20 million investment in reconstruction of Total Energies, company there, which has been stored its operations for quite some time. So you can see some of the smoke at the end of the tunnel in terms of safety and security. But of course, this signing is happening amid the renewed attacks by the terrorists there in that region, and therefore we think, as journalists, that maybe that's why the Mozambican president is coming in here to see if they can scratch around and see if they can add on momentum to actually invest much more on ensuring security in that region. But at least at some point, maybe I don't know the percentage rate, but some people have even been coming back to their residences. So you can see a sense of security and safety. But of course, we still see some attacks from that region.
Now, another issue that was highlighted was the violent extremism across the African continent and the threat to people and government. Now, what did the leaders say about this issue, and what follow-ups will they be undertaking, especially with the fact that most times leaders on the African continent don't call each other out, especially when they see that a counterpart is doing something wrong, but they generally try to remain as diplomatic as possible.
That's the problem, actually. That's a challenge, actually. As you likely said, African presidents and leaders, to some point, have always been good at delivering speeches in different fora. But when it comes to specific cases, we don't see them. Actually, even if you went by the current conflict between the DRC and Rwanda and the eastern part of the DRC, you see some external forces coming in to intervene, but you don't see any voice from the African continent. So specifically speaking, during this visit and ceremony of signing the two memorandum of understanding, President Paul Kagame said this was yet another good step towards restoring peace and working together. And he specifically said that the African people, generally speaking, African people should be the one to work together to restore peace on the continent, because outsourcing solutions from external, foreign power for this matter is not going to help. And he said that in this area of joint venture is a good area to invest as African, insinuating that Africa does not expect any durable peace, outsourced from the outside of the continent, emphasizing that such cooperation, bilateral cooperation, multilateral cooperation, is going to be a long-term solution if all African countries and the leaders specifically are going to work together. But just like you said, it's still very tricky to actually attend this, because you see some problems, across the region and across the African continent, where leaders are not speaking or talking the same language when it comes to providing solution of what is befalling the African continent.
Now, apart from that, just from what you're highlighting that President Kagame spoke of, it's very interesting when you look at the dynamic when it comes to the DRC and the involvement of not only the SADC region in terms of countries coming forward to try and assist in bringing peace in the DRC, the eastern parts of the DRC. This has not come to fruition because President Paul Kagame was just not, seemingly interested, as well as the DRC's president. It was a touch and go, and unfortunately, the African leaders could not get anywhere until there was international intervention.
That's it. Because the gains and the security concern is on an individual basis. Each country minds about the security and safety of its borders before it actually goes back. It goes beyond the security, the national security, to now becoming the continental. So there have been this challenge where some African leaders see the problem as if some foreign interventions are coming for their personal gains, and in this case, some of the African leaders are used by intervention from the foreign forces to actually at the detriment of their fellow Africans, which is why and what you see currently, or rather going on, because all the misunderstanding that you see does not necessarily mean that the African countries do have problems. It's until when we see some external forces for the political gains and economic gains to come and distort what is going on. That's why you perhaps see the same problem that we are talking about.
Yeah, well, Sylivanus, we have run out of time and are going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us on Africa Update.
Thank you, Lulu.
That's our correspondent in Rwanda, Sylivanus Karamera, joining us on the line.